Good evening, and we start with an apology to the viewer who wrote in complaining that last week's round entitled Animal, Vegetable or Scotsman was racist. We'd like to make it clear that Scotland's First Minister, Jack McConnell, was singled out for his very public misbehaviour, and not in any way because he looks like the kind of shifty jock who'd sell his own mother for half a haggis. In the news this week, at the United Nations Afghan Peace Summit, the cloakroom attendant struggles to cope with a few extra items. Sport, and there's evidence that steroid abuse has even reached the world of cheerleaders. And in a sponsor's tent at the World Athletics Championships, there's an awkward moment after an athlete's urine sample goes missing. On Ian Hislop's team is an Iranian comic and actor who, after filming the movie Spy Game, was offered a lift in Robert Redford's private jet, as long as he stayed out of the cockpit. Omid Djalili. And with Paul Merton tonight, a writer and broadcaster who's constantly irritated by references to his famous family, so please welcome, in his own right, Sir Clement Freud. Who is grandson of Sigmund and father of Matthew and Emma. Round one, then, continues to dominate the opening of this contest. Ian and Omid, in we go.
That's the Marines, isn't it?
Yep, they're going to kick Taliban ass. Oh, this is taking pot shots at prisoners. This is penal reform, Afghanistan's way.
John Prescott was in the news?
I don't remember him being in the news. Oh! Prescott's obviously that guy's trainer.
It's the benefit fraud guy, isn't it? I don't know his name.
Omar Abu Omar.
But he's a moderate.
In what way?
Well, he just hits journalists. The more extreme ones just kill them all. He's claiming at the moment that he should get Social Security benefit because £180,000 found in cash in his flat was takings from a prayer group. He's going to have his benefit stopped, but he's going to be given subsistence allowance so that he can eat and drink.
I thought the Marine things was about the spat between the Marines and the SAS. Who's going to get him first? And the SAS have been taunting the Marines, saying things like the Marines, they have to have pretzels every day and have their burgers, whereas our lads can live on toothpaste and a damn good thrashing every day. Much harder. Isn't that right?
Yeah. And
yeah, apparently one locust can last the whole SAS for a year.
There's also a slight difference in attitude between the two. When asked who was in charge, the US said, "We don't discuss officers' identity in the theatre of war." And Jack Straw said, "It's Colonel Mulholland." So why have the Americans been contacting bin Laden's mother this week?
Asking her where he is? It's worth a shot.
Yeah, it would be a cunning ploy. No, they're trying to get a DNA sample from her.
So that when they kill him, they'll know it's him.
Exactly, because 10 lookalikes apparently has turned up in Afghanistan.
10? Thousands of them! Got one on tonight.
You've described bin Laden as a rather nice kind of terrorist, but would you invite him round to your house for dinner?
I think he's a vegetarian.
So, and what's the major breakthrough in the hunt for bin Laden?
They found his underwear.
Does it have his name stitched into it? How do they know it's his?
They're found hanging on a washing line, apparently, in his house in Jalalabad. This is the continuing war in Afghanistan, which this week received a huge boost with the discovery of what may well be Osama bin Laden's underwear. A reporter on The Independent gave a grave description. They were extra, extra large, baggy and sagging a little in the elastic and probably belonged to the world's most wanted man. At which point Kate Adie came in and said, "Has anyone seen my pants?" Paul and Clement, by royal appointment.
Oh, this is the Queen visiting EastEnders. We go to see where her grandmother lived. Looking thrilled to be there, isn't she? Philip coming in, and there was a bit of a fuss as to who should accompany the Queen and who should accompany Prince Philip. Barbara Windsor had the Queen, didn't she? They shared the same surname, so they got on.
Right.
And Prince Philip got Wendy Richard.
He thought one of the famous stars of the show was one of the technicians.
Yeah. This is Adam Woodyat. He said, are you an actor or an operator?
What did Prince Philip say?
Prince Philip said yes.
Oh, I see. I thought the technician asked Prince Philip.
And what was the point of all this?
I don't know.
Was it to try and take attention away from the Royal Variety Show?
Anyone see it?
I'm afraid I did. That's very, very sad.
That is sad, yeah. Why did he watch it?
I just couldn't turn it off. It's like watching a car crash. You think I really shouldn't do this? I've got better things. God, look! That's Scylla. Oh, no!
Yes, you can relive that moment, actually. This is Scylla, and oh, no.
Surprise, surprise. God.
She lives near Sellafield, doesn't she?
So what was the highlight for you?
It was that opera singer singing a song from Andrew Lloyd Webber very slowly.
Vinnie Jones.
That's the one.
It is the Queen's heady showbiz week, visiting the set of EastEnders. Barbara Windsor escorted the Queen through Walford Market, saying, "I don't think there's anything here to suit you, ma'am," before noticing the lime green overcoat she was wearing and saying, well, on second thoughts. The Queen and Prince Philip also met the writers of EastEnders. They talked about how they dealt with issues like adultery, divorce and dysfunctional families, and then the writers talked about EastEnders for a bit. So, at the end of that round, the score is like Archbishop Desmond, being as it is 2-2. To the depressing prospect of the world according to tabloid newspapers, two expert jeux de mode from their daily output, Ian and Omid. Gord's bitter pill.
Labour have finally decided that we will pay more taxes if the hospitals worked, which is an idea the Lib Dems have had for ages, but everyone ignored them because they were the Lib Dems. Gordon Brown has decided that he is going to put £1 billion into saving the NHS, so that it's just about ready and working when he becomes Prime Minister.
Right. What happened at the end of the speech, then?
They demonstrated that there's no hard feelings. Blair tried to... He did this. He tried to say, well done, Gordon, a great speech. And Brown ignored him.
But rumours of Brown's irritation were not exactly dispelled by Diane Abbott this week.
Well, I can't imagine that Gordon Brown was too enthused by the war. I'm not accusing you of being a pacifist or anything like that, but first of all, they were pissing away all his money on this war. And second of all, Tony Blair was on the TV every tick of the clock. Neither of those are things designed to make Gordon Brown a happy bunny.
What irritating habits is Brown supposed to have?
He bites his fingernails.
Yes, obviously.
He farts.
But in tune.
I'm not aware of him farting any more than any other
Well, you don't know him as
politician.
well as we do.
He's also very violent with his computer, Gordon Brown, apparently. You don't have a computer, do you, Clement?
I don't.
Right. But you have 9 typewriters.
I have many typewriters because I can't change the ribbons.
Do you have 5 television sets?
Yes.
Do you sometimes wish you were still an MP?
Sometimes, yeah.
How do you think the Lib Dems are doing at the minute, then? Not...
I was never a Lib Dem.
No.
The Dems came in after me.
But the half of them that are still Libs, how are they doing?
They send Christmas cards.
This is Gordon Brown's pre-budget statement, which included a £1 million boost for the health service. A special report into NHS funding was undertaken by Derek Wanless, a NatWest banker who wrote to Gordon Brown almost daily, offering him the chance to apply for a gold card at a special introductory rate. And Mr Brown also announced that foreign lorry drivers will be charged to use British roads, although they'll almost certainly pass on the costs to the illegal immigrants in the back. Paul and Clement, you're a tricky spinner. Welcome to the clone age.
Well, this is somebody this week has successfully cloned a human embryo, I think was the story.
With the computer.
Yeah, yeah.
You couldn't do that on a manual typewriter.
No.
Who are these people?
Well, they're scientists, usually. They're the people they're the ones who got access to the test tubes.
Yes.
Plumbers have had a go, but it's just a way, you know, I'll be ready Wednesday, but it never is.
And how did it work?
Well, if we understood that, we wouldn't be sitting on a light-end panel, would we?
It's not that difficult.
I bet it is.
Well, you take me...
OK, Angus, take us through the science.
Yeah, go on then.
Well, they inject the egg with DNA.
Yeah.
And then you clone it.
That's amazing, because I'd always thought you were a bit of an idiot.
You convinced me.
Yeah. It really is that simple. So whose DNA was acquired?
Jeremy Beadle.
Judson Somerville, a Texan, who took a cookie cutter and dug skin out of his right calf.
What's a cookie cutter?
Well, it's a kitchen utensil. You'd know about this, Clement?
Yes.
I knew I could rely on that.
But why the right calf?
Yeah. And I
Why
thought it was
not?
a sheep.
Calf.
Will you stop moaning? It's getting extremely annoying. I don't come round your house and moan at you.
A cookie cutter, yes. I'm sure, well, it's something that cuts cookies, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a chance to moan there. You missed it.
No, well, he was trying... Just anywhere from the human body is fine, so right calf is as good as anywhere, I think, is probably the answer.
Well, I mean, yes, but there's some parts of the body you wouldn't want to cut a bit of skin off with a cookie cutter.
Such as...
Well, I hesitate to say anything in case the audience moans.
Of course, you were a medic, weren't you?
No.
In the war?
No.
At the end of the war?
No.
No, he
Right.
wasn't a medic in the war.
Right.
He was a Nazi, but he wasn't a medic.
I gave people VD injections.
And did it work?
Thank God you finished that sentence.
This is the news that scientists have succeeded in cloning the first human embryo. The Mirror expressed concern at the possibility of human cloning falling into the wrong hands, saying, imagine what would happen if someone like Osama bin Laden got hold of the cloning technology. Well, he'd certainly become easier to find. Ian and Omid, your flyer. Plane crazy.
Is that the British tourists who were caught spotting planes in Greece?
The Greek police have cracked down on plane spotting. Of all the terrorists rampaging around the world, they picked 12 people who are taking down plane numbers.
What information would a spy get looking at planes?
Well, this lot were taking the numbers down of 30-year-old Greek helicopters.
Yeah.
That's going to bring down the West, isn't it? Oh, my goodness, we can't send in the Greeks. When did they last go anywhere?
There was
Peloponnese War, wasn't it?
So what did the group include? There is one poor...
Grandmother.
Yes, why is she the odd one out?
Because the others weren't grandmothers. Do you want to try another question?
There is another reason why she's the odd one out, which is that she hates planes. Were you really offered a lift in Robert Redford's jet?
Yes, I was.
Did you say no, then?
They changed their mind. And I went by train instead. I was supposed to make it back for an award ceremony, and then they said, oh, it'd be good if we send him in Robert Redford's jet, because it'd be good publicity. And they thought, nah. So all the interviews had no mention of the award, but a lot of talk about Robert Redford's hair.
I just asked you about the stars.
Yeah, no interest at all in the award.
That's terrible. So what's he like?
Well,
I think if you're killed in a small plane, you want to get the headlines, and if you're with Robert Redford, you'd hardly get a mention.
yes, that's right.
So this is the group of British plane spotters who have been detained in Greece on charges of spying at a military airbase. In fact, here's a picture of that top-secret, high-security airbase. And our thanks to the Daily Mirror photographer, or prisoner 4714, as he's now known. So far, the plane spotters have been in Greece for 24 days. The police now deeply regretting asking them, tell us all you know about our planes. And finally, in this round, Paul and Clement. Squirrel gets nut.
It's about this bloke who's invented this hat where he says, I've invented this hat where sort of birds can come and feed and can get nuts off my hat. And he was walking through and he was very pleased with this invention. He was walking through a park and a squirrel saw him, jumped on a tree on top of him, and the bloke fell over, and that's what it's about.
Is astonishingly the right answer. Do you know his name?
George, I think.
Very close, Michael.
Yeah. George Michael, that's who I was thinking of.
Mike Madden is his name, of Crackpot Cottage, who is an inventor of the bird feeder hat.
Has he done other hats in the past?
He has other projects in line. He's built a suit out of bubble wrap
Right.
to protect people if you fall over. Should have invented that first, really, shouldn't he? Yeah. And a rotating fork for eating spaghetti. What is the correct way to eat spaghetti, Clement? You would know these things.
A spoon and fork.
Right. Right, thank you.
Fork into the spoon. Twist. Suck.
Yeah. Just think spoon, fork, suck. Spoon, fork, suck.
I might not try and say that.
Also happens to be Prime Minister of China. You could have moaned then, but you missed your chance.
Because you used to work as a cook, didn't you?
No.
No, I was talking to Clement.
Oh, sorry.
Right. You worked at the Dorchester Hotel, didn't you?
I did.
And would you still eat there, given what you saw happening in the kitchens?
I would.
And what was it?
Disgusting.
Someone doing something into a pot?
Yes.
Right.
Not as bad as that. They urinated.
This is a long time ago, though, we should point out for any lawyers watching.
Or any customers, surely.
Yes.
Let's order the pea soup.
Groaning again!
Yes. This is the inventor, Mike Madden, who told reporters how he'd been attacked by the squirrel. I'd only just started walking through the woods when, kaboom, I was on the floor. The squirrel armed with a stun grenade, obviously. The inventor estimated that the squirrel was roughly the size of a small puppy or a large kitten, or if you can get your mind around this, a squirrel. Which creative accounting means at the end of this story, well, both teams seem equally reluctant to have a different score, sharing as they do 6 points each. Round 3, then, is just an introduction away, and that was it. Paul and Clement. 4 twos for you. Posh and Bex, Edward and Sophie, Madonna and Guy Ritchie, and Matthew Freud and Elizabeth Murdoch.
Is it sham marriages?
Would you like to explain?
No.
No.
Well,
Oh,
Posh
right.
and Bex got married in a castle, didn't they?
They did.
Madonna and Guy Ritchie got married in a castle?
Scottish castle.
Scottish castle. Where did your son get married?
In Blenheim Palace. You were there.
I was.
You weren't.
No.
I noticed.
No, I don't make the Murdoch guest list.
Yes, that, of course, isn't a castle, Blenheim Palace.
And, well, Sophie and, oh, what's his face? Was that in a castle?
Windsor.
Well, there we are then.
So
it
they all
must-
got married in castles except the palace.
Is the right answer. Edward and Sophie, yes, got married in Windsor. Sophie's been in trouble. She's been using police signs in her car in order to park on double yellow lines.
Oh.
There we are.
Now, there's an appropriate moan.
And Madonna this week had revealed something about Guy.
He says, don't dress like a slapper. He's
Well,
missed the plot a bit there, hasn't he?
You worked with Guy, didn't you?
In one of my many groundbreaking Arab scumbag roles.
Have you been typecast at all?
No. I was the, if you observed the Bond film that was on TV, I was the second Azerbaijani oil pipe attendant. It's a major departure for me.
And Matthew and Elizabeth, yes, of course, are the odd ones out because they got married in a palace. And you, of course, gave a speech where you plugged your book, I seem to remember.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
It's called
You're going to do it again, aren't you? Unless I interrupt, which I am.
It's called Freud ego.
I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
OK. Fair enough. The answer is then that they've all been married in a castle with the exception of Matthew Freud and Elizabeth Murdoch. And Matthew Freud has a huge list of celebrity clients and, according to The Observer, he facilitates media access to Jerry Halliwell, the most pointless job since Bin Laden's barber. Ian and Omid, your scary monsters are Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Jeff Capes and Ronald McDonald.
Is it fast food? Jeff Capes got into trouble over promoting... Was it pot noodles?
He had racing pigeons. Jeff Capes.
He
Whereas
breeds and shows them.
Bin Laden's racing pigeons are crap.
Yeah.
Osama bin Laden's the only one who's re-released My Way.
Saddam Hussein's the only one who specialises in Frank Spencer impressions.
Ooh, Betty, you're dead.
Yeah.
Equally inaccurate. I'll put you out of your misery. The answer is that they've all been involved in the marketing of noodles. Except Ronald McDonald, whose area of expertise is, of course, burgers. Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein have both given their name to noodle bars. Bin Laden's beef noodle restaurant is in Lanzhou, in China.
It's not named after him, though, is it?
Well, who else would it be named after? Someone called Osama bin Laden beef noodle.
OK, take us through the Saddam Hussein chop suey bar.
Saddam's beef noodle restaurant, which is in China and has been since 1991, since the Gulf War. And Osama's, in fact, opened only 3 weeks ago and closed 4 days later. Do you know why?
Bombed.
This is in China, so I hope not.
It wouldn't stop the US.
No, it's due to complaints about the name. So Jeff Capes, yes, it was a dried pasta snack called Snack Stop. This was part of the hoax. He ostensibly tried to save takeaways from the threat of pot snacks, but in fact he was advertising a pot snack himself. That's how clever it was. The world of advertising, of course, has grown in sophistication since the good old days.
Today is the second anniversary of his operation, so I thought we'd celebrate. I went and bought some Aberdeen Angus beef, marinated it overnight in olive oil, crushed garlic, and chateau bottled claret. And this morning I cut it into strips, dusted it with flour and paprika, fried it in butter, added some cream. He hated it. But he wanted this, stuff.
New chunky meat.
So was that Henry?
It was a bitch because the lights were very fierce, and we did use a dog in one commercial, and it got a huge erection which got into the frame.
Yeah, but it's a sterling endorsement for the dog food, though, isn't it? I mean, that knocked spots off. He liked it so much he bought the company. Look at this.
Which nutty sound bites means at the end of this morsel it's Ian and Omid who are looking down in the mouth. Behind us they are 8-6. Missing Words sums up our next round in that that's what it is. A variety of headlines sucked from their columns, including many or none from this week's guest publication, the irreplaceable Egg Cup World. So stand by for... Taliban warlord quits to what?
Join the Lib Dems.
Father Christmas in Selfridges.
Be cabbie is the answer.
I'm not going south of Kabul this time of night.
Do you know what his name is? Bismillah.
No.
Thank you. C is for what?
Is it from the sun? C is for swimming in.
No.
Collectors of egg cups.
It is from Egg Cup World,
That's
yes.
why I said it.
Clarice Cliff Egg Cup. is actually
Very-
what C is
Very
for.
collectible these days.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a 26-page A to Z of egg cups. Everything you ever want to know about egg cups, and then 26 more pages. Next, D is for what?
Dick Van Dyke cups.
Dyke Van Dyck.
No, simply decorated eggs. Next, vampire kangaroos what?
Won't touch Rolf Harris blood.
Ironically order garlic bread.
Make blood run cold. This is a curious life form that lives off the blood of other animals. It lives in Chile.
Vampire kangaroos that live in Chile.
They're goat suckers.
I think you're just making this up. Goat suckers in Chile.
In Chile, yeah.
Let's have a look at a picture of one of them.
There are no pictures of them.
No, do you know
Available.
why? Because they don't exist.
There are many of them, and there have been many deaths reported.
Reported? Well, who by? What it does is, hey, my brother, he's just been killed by a vampire kangaroo. Not those devils who suck goats, they're very same. My brother, he's got a beard, he looks like a goat, they suck the living daylights out of him.
And finally, when I saw what, I couldn't get my checkbook out quick enough.
Frank Sinatra egg cup.
It's not from... Actually, it is from a duck whistler is the answer.
Oh, yes.
Apparently, this is Mr...
I mean, really, there's no way that any of us are going to get that.
It was in Egg Cup Weekly.
You don't even know the name of the publication.
Egg Cup World, it was in only this...
Egg Cup World, Egg Cup Weekly. How many magazines are there?
Many.
It's an overcrowded market, the Egg Cup World, isn't it?
It's...
What do they say at Egg Cup Weekly? You never guess what they put on the cover of Egg Cup World. Only an egg cup.
All of which majestic whining means at the end of tonight's count, this week's proper Charlies are Ian and Ovid with 8, whilst this week's Hooray Henrys are Paul and Clement with 9. And I leave you with news that David Blunkett is informed that his guide dog has just bitten John Prescott. In Spain, sports authorities agree it's time to outlaw the tackle from behind. And in London, an impromptu debate about religious tolerance threatens to get out of hand. Good night.
Well, it's been quite a tournament. Catch highlights of the RBS Six Nations Rugby over on UK TV G2 in just a moment. And here on Documentary next, more from Angus and the gang. And have I got 2001 for you?